is 20 seconds. 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Okay. Rap your city. Let me see the mic. Rap your city. Give me the mic. Rap your city. I got you. Rap your city. I'm gonna tell you about mine. Rap your city.
It's time for us to go live, so rep your city. I really would appreciate if y'all roll with me. Feeling this music cause it makes me wanna step. And if you don't want it to, then you lying to yourself. Cause every time we party, we gon' have fun. I don't know about you, but I'ma rep where I'm from.
Rap your city. Okay. Rap your city. Let me see the mic. Rap your city. Give me the mic. Rap your city.
Welcome to the RYC Live show this evening. This is Rep Your City, RYC Live, Fresh Friday. And my name is Artistic, and I'm your host for tonight. And as usual, we have our special guest on tonight. But before I introduce him, I'd like to just keep everything in place with a few housekeeping rules. If you have not done so already, we kindly remind you to remember to please subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's RYC Live on our YouTube platform. That's RYC Live. And if you would like to be a future guest on a future show, please do send us an email to ryclive@yahoo.com. That's ryclive@yahoo.com. And someone from the team will be more than happy to get back to you to set you up and book you for a future date on a future show. This is Fresh Friday once again. It's Friday night, broadcasting live from the Windy City here in Chicago. Got my Chicago Ill Cypher hoodie on tonight, representing my city. Hope you're representing your city. Continue to do what you got to do to keep it real. I've been kind of under the weather past couple of days, but every time I get an opportunity to talk about hip hop, it always makes me feel better. So tonight, I'm sure after this segment, I'll definitely feel re-energized. I want to send a shout out to all our viewers tuning in already. Shout out to my homeboy, Papa Lone Kid 123 checking in the building. That's what's up. All the B-boys around the world, I want to send a shout out to all y'all, man. All the B-boys and the B-girls. Keep rocking, don't never give the floor room to breathe, right? So, we're going to talk about some history tonight on the B-boy side, on the MC side, and just universally throughout the hip-hop culture. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my homeboy from around the way. Back in the days, we never met as far as I know, but we didn't live far from each other in the hundreds. And so, I'm looking forward to hearing some more of his story in detail. And I'm sure you all will be looking forward to hearing it too. Shout out one more time for my homeboy, Papa Lone Kid 123, who always shows support and love, man. Always, ever since I met this brother, he has been inspiring and encouraging to me. And I hope I've been inspiring and encouraging to him. Shout out to all the homeboys from the Renegade Rockers, the Dynamic Rockers, the Planet Rockers. You know what I'm saying? All the South Side B-Boy crews and the North Side, West Side, and East Side B-Boy crews. Represent Chicago, stand up. So without further ado, this is my brother from the Renegade Rockers from back in the day, who also became an MC and also got down on the turntables on the wheels of steel. And he's got a lot more going on that I can't even, begin to describe. So we're going to let him tell his story from his perspective. But this is a brother, man. I'm very looking forward to hearing what he has to say. He goes by the name of Crash MC. So let's welcome him to the show, my brother Crash MC.
What's up, my man? How you doing,
Yes,
bro?
yes, there he is. Welcome to the show, my brother.
It's a pleasure to be here, man. And I got to applaud you before you even get started for having this type of forum to keep our legacy alive. We just had the unfortunate passing of Coolio, so he's one of our contemporaries. So tomorrow is definitely not promised. You know what I mean? So it's a wonderful thing that what you guys are doing with the Chicago Hip Hop Museum. Got to give you much props for that.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you, man. It's an honor and a privilege to be in a position to be able to do this, man. Because like I said, sometimes when I'm down and out, man, I can be around something that'll perk me up, and obviously most of the time it's hip hop. So
Right.
hip hop has always kept me alive. It always made me feel alive too.
Definitely. I think hip hop saved a lot of lives, especially on the south side of Chicago, and just for disenfranchised youth in general. It's always been an outlet for us. So
yes. So let's talk about your history, man. Let's go all the way back to the beginning, because the more I do these type of shows and have these type of conversations, it makes me want to continue to dig, because I keep finding all these artifacts and just missing links and missing gaps to our history. And again, Chicago, another reason why I do this is because a lot of times Chicago has been overlooked for many reasons. And my goal is to help fill those gaps, and the people that I work with to help fill those gaps. Send a shout out to my homeboy, Mr. RYC Live, and the rest of the team, RYC Live family. And, we've been trying to put forth work to, like you say, keep the platform alive, but more importantly, help people to understand the importance and the need to do this type of work, because, HBK did it for us.
Right.
For many people that know about HBK, believe it or not, that's what kept us alive when we were younger. So those brothers that operated and navigated through the times of the 80s to keep the radio station alive and pump out that hip hop, it done a lot for a lot of us, So, we're kind of just trying to pay it back. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So let's talk about you, man. Let's go all the way back to the beginning. What year did you start, and what element did you start with first?
So my initial element was b-boying and breakdancing. And believe it or not, bro, the first time I was actually introduced to breakdancing, my mother called me. She saw breakdancing on TV, and she said, Rod, come here, watch this. So I'm like, what is going on? I run in there and I'm looking at this, and I'm not even comprehending what I'm seeing, bro. It was just like spinning and footwork. I knew it was cool, but I didn't know what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I was first introduced to it. And then I ended up, getting with a couple of crews. I actually had auditioned for this showcase at West Pullman Park.
Mm-hmm.
So ended up making the audition, and what I didn't realize is the guy that was doing the auditioning, because it was a solo audition, what I didn't realize is it was a bunch of b-boys that had gotten together. So we ended up doing this big show, and we ended up calling ourselves the Enforcers. So that was when you mentioned Papa Long Kid. Big shout out to him. PAK123. He's one of the illest poppers known to mankind. But yeah, him, KK, who eventually had the name Kid Combination. Zivin, I think his name back in the day was Icebreaker. And then we had a lot of shorties. So we just, and I can't forget this one cat who was the illest breaker of all of us back then in that crew. His name was Moon. Moon was just ridiculous. You know how some people just are naturally gifted, and that was Moon. So like me, my breakdance name was actually Kid Crash initially. Mm-hmm. So I went from Kid Crash, and then, as I started rhyming, I dropped the Kid Crash and became MC Crash. And then I went from MC Crash to Crash MC, and then I just dropped the MC and I'm just Crash.
Okay.
Now, but yeah, that's how I started, bro. I remember the first time that KK and I actually danced at a party. That was when I knew that hip hop was for me. We were at West Pullman Park, and it was a dance. So we had KK and I had been practicing this routine, and we were ready to knock it out. And they kept playing house music because I don't know if the people know around the world, but Chicago was primarily house, and they actually used to diss the hip hop scene out there before we, got our props, and they knew we weren't going anywhere. But I was like, bro, we got to go. They kept playing like White Horse and, like house music. And I was like, dude, they're not going to play anything. We got to just do it. And KK was like, just chill, bro, chill. So, all right, I was like, okay. So then eventually they play that beat. And we looked at each other and he's like, nah. And KK's younger than me, bro. So he was like the wise one. I was like impatient. Bro, we go on the floor. We start rocking this routine. I kid you not, within about 10 seconds, the entire dance surrounded us as we're rocking this routine, just in amazement, because you could tell that they had never seen breaking live before. And from then on, it was over. It was like, this is my calling in life, dude. I got to be a B-boy. This is it.
Now, what year would you project that was?
This was about 19... Listen to me going back, bro. This had to be 83, I would say.
Okay.
This was 83. Yeah, 83, 84.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that was kind of an explosion for breaking, because, Flashdance came out in 83 that featured the Rocksteady crew. Right. And then B Street and Breaking came out in 84. So when 84 hit, it was over.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody was aware about breaking at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm from I heard you talk about us not being far from each other. So I'm actually from 123rd between State and Michigan. You see, I live in Hawaii now, but I was, raised on the far south side. Big shout out to KK, Wild 100 Chicago. That's his brand.
Word.
Ill Street Blues. But yeah, bro, we used to walk around. So I got to give Craig was like, Craig and KK, they were like the, how can I put it? They were like the link that brought everybody together, I would say, because we all used to hang out either on Stewart or pretty much on Harvard, which was 120th and Harvard, which is where Craig, PAK, lived at the time. But on the one block over, KK lived, which was 120th and Stewart.
Okay.
So we used to do all our practicing and stuff over there. And later on, Dana came into the picture, but not in the early days. But a very key component to I would say the evolution of our dancing will be Rob, aka Prince Crazy Legs. So he came around and I was like, who is this dude? Like his footwork, his whole, he was like the coolest cat. And his footwork was just insane, just smooth with just how he did everything. And he was definitely the one that had us, I would say, step our games up. And then through him, because he would live with his dad, I mean, he would go over his dad's house, which was on Stewart, not to put his business out there. But he would also be, I guess, around Dave, who's Melody, Ed Rudolph, rest his soul, aka Cool Rock Steady, and Melody, Myron, this cat named Mitch, Prince Cool Whip. We had a conversation about him. Dude, I've never seen anybody do head spins like him before. So you know how normally people do head spins and they'll have one leg straight up in the air and then one leg kind of down. He would have both legs up in the air and would spin. And then when he wanted to speed up, he would bring both legs down. He would go faster. Mitch would take his jacket off, and then you would throw him his jacket back on, and he'd put it back on while he's head spinning, bro. I mean, I could never do any of that. I was like, to me, bro, I think I was more like a utility dancer. Like I could break good enough, I could pop good enough, kind of like a jack of all trades, but I was by no means on the level of these other guys, bro.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah, you know, I appreciate you so much, man, because you know, I think you have definitely helped me unlock a missing key in regard to Mitch. I still got to catch up with Rob so that we can discuss, because I had reached out to Rob right after I got that information from you about Mitch, and he seemed like he was a little unsure about it. But you know, I told him, I said, well, we just got to talk it out, you know, because you know sometimes the more you talk about it, the more it comes back to your memory. But I'm pretty sure that's the same Mitch. And like I said, Mitch didn't live on, like, I stayed on 101st, but there were some breakers on like 102nd. And for the life of me, I can't think of their crew name. I just remember them individually. And I knew that Mitch, that was his real name. I knew that he was one of them that was in their crew.
Okay.
But, you know, from what I understand, I heard that Mitch lived or was living in Hyde Park at the time or something like that. Or he went to Hyde Park High School. But I do know for a fact he used to come over out south on 102nd and practice, because it was a dude named Ray. He was a light-skinned dude, and they used to call him Stingray. And they used to practice in his driveway and in his backyard garage area.
Okay.
And our crew even battled them a couple times. I even battled Mitch, because not only did Mitch have a good head spin that he could rock, but he was also a fist glider. You know what I'm saying? You know, he was good with that. And we used to battle a lot of times at who could spin the longest. You know.
I couldn't even do a hand spin, let alone a fist spin. Killing me with that, bro. Man. Bro.
So it's definitely...
You know what, bro? Speaking of the breaking, it took me, I would say I was the last one of our immediate crew to actually learn how to windmill.
Okay.
I used to bust my hip up, and I just could not get it, bro. I used to do like, because there was like this phony way of doing it where you would push up, spin around, push up. That was like the corny way. And then there was the real way that you would do it.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it was funny, man. And Rob could do them all. Like, they used to have these names. So you have like the regular windmill when you would use your hands. If you put your two hands on your front thighs, they call that the Burger King.
Okay.
Off of a Burger King commercial. And then there was one other one that I remember. If you had your hands behind your back and were spinning, doing your windmills with no hands, they called that the Businessman. I don't know where these names came from. But Rob is the one that was educating us on all that.
They definitely had different terms for, you know, based on the complexity of the move. You know, there was another crew on the far east side. I don't know if you were aware of them, but they were Hispanic group. And one of the freshest B-boys in their crew was a dude named Popcorn. And the name of their crew was called Awesome. And, you know, I remember when I seen them cats rocking, man, they had that, you know, the windmill style where you ain't using no hands.
Right.
But you're going so fast, you're bouncing almost like and they call this move the beach ball. You know, so he was going around so fast and smooth, look just like a beach ball. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Like boom, boom, boom. But at the same time, he's rocking them. You know, and then he immediately could go into a head spin. You know, and it was just like, how the heck is you doing? And we talking like the 80s, the early 80s.
Right. Yeah, it's amazing the power moves, how they develop. Because more towards the end of when I was breaking, we ended up changing our name from Renegade Rockers to Skytracks. Okay. And I couldn't do any Skytrack moves because that's when you started to windmill into these aerials. And that was just like a whole nother level. Yeah. And like I said, I was just learning how to windmill, and now you want me to try to do an aerial? Like, no. It continued to advance, and that's why I knew back then when I got into it, I knew that it was going to be a dance that was going to continue to flourish because of what they were doing back then. You know what I'm saying? Like the stuff that they were doing back then was just amazing, and it never really seems to shock me even today that the dance has continued to elevate, because I've never seen anything remotely close to outdoing it. No. You know, like I mean, the closest that in terms of movement would be gymnastics. Right. But gymnastics is still not equivalent, you know, in my opinion. You know, because with gymnastics you're using
apparatuses, you're using different tools. Whereas breaking, it's nothing but you and the floor.
Right. Yeah. And the rhythm and the longevity and what I loved about breaking is the spontaneity of it, because you got to be in the moment, or just freestyle dancing in general, especially when you're battling somebody. It's like, okay, you're doing this. What am I going to do to counter this?
Yeah.
You know, I could up rock pretty good. You know,
Okay.
I love up rocking, and my footwork I thought was pretty smooth. My favorite footwork, I don't know if you guys remember that, but it was called Freddie Bob's.
Okay.
So I used to love doing a Freddie Bob's, you know, but yeah, bro, it like you said, it just elevated, man. And I remember, like, there was, when we first started breaking, and this is before Rob kind of came around, you had your West Coast version of breakdancing.
Mm-hmm.
So that whole thing with the spikes and the, you know what I mean? That was cool for that era. And then when we got introduced to the New York style, like, wait a minute, this is what's up. Start rocking the Pumas and the Nike sweatsuits and Adidas, and, you know, bro, we used to walk around the city, or walk around the South Side, I kid you not, with a roll of linoleum. We would walk through the neighborhood, go to blocks, either go to the park or go to somebody's block, and it would be like the Pied Piper, because people would see us, and we'd be playing, I forgot whose radio it was. I don't know if it was Craig's or KK's, but we start playing, no matter how hard you try, you can't stop us now. Da-da-da. Bro, that was it, boy. So we was renegade rockers. You couldn't stop us.
Yeah. You know, I think it was an empowerment for a lot of us, man, because, you know, you got to remember, hip hop was born out of poverty.
Exactly.
And so us as young kids, especially young Black kids, we didn't have nothing. So when we embraced hip hop as it was developing, that gave us a sense of worth. You know what I'm saying? That made us feel like we belonged to something, that we owned something. You know, so it wasn't, like you said, I believe you, we did the same thing, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we couldn't even afford linoleum back then. So whatever we could dance on, cardboard or whatever, we went in the neighborhoods doing the same thing, man.
Yeah.
And when we had to take it from one community to the next, we didn't have cars. So guess what? If we wasn't walking, we had to get on the bus or the train.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so we embraced it all, man, from every element that we practiced, man. I mean, and we did it with pride, you know. So I think that was another reason why we kind of looked in some ways, or in many ways, we looked at very renegade-ish, like you said. You know, we looked at, like we were rebellious kids, you know, doing what we were doing because we were bold about doing it.
You know, you just talking about the boldness of it. You just reminded me of and I called before when Dave was on. We had Melody on, but I'm gonna tell the story since it's you and I. But we had a show out in Calumet Park.
Okay.
At this school, I forgot the name of the school, but they had the way they had it set up was different showcases, and they had it set up in various classrooms.
Okay.
So we had our own room to do our showcase in, and then there was another crew there. So coming from hip hop, of course, the spirit of hip hop is to battle.
Yes.
So we see this other crew in this other room. So we figure, hey, we did our thing. Let's go over there and battle these guys. We go in there, and Dave walks on the stage to start, you know, bro, do you know Calumet Park Police? And that's a suburb just outside of Chicago. Handcuffed him.
What?
And dude, crazy. We was like, we just dancing.
Yeah.
So they thought, well, you know what? I'm gonna assume that this is what they thought, because as I got, you know, you're naive to things at that age. You don't understand racism too much and all that. So
yeah,
I'm gonna take it for face value. But they made it seem like they thought that Dave was actually gonna start a fight. That was the reason why we went in there. When the entire time we're like, no, we just going in there to dance. So that was crazy, bro. That was crazy.
Yeah. I can relate. I mean, you know, as a graffiti artist, you know, I cultivated friendships with many other young writers from around the way that was not of my skin color. And, and when we attracted crowds, man, unlike many others, because of the fact that we were young, we traveled, we went around in different communities that we wasn't from, and we were of different skin colors,
Right.
And so, people was wondering why are these black kids hanging with these white kids and these white kids hanging with these Hispanic kids? What is going on?
Right.
But the commonality was hip hop. You know what
Exactly.
I'm saying? So
And that's the beauty of hip hop, bro, is it's universal.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. Even like the B-boy competitions that they have now all over the world. You got these breakers from Korea, Japan, Germany, Russia. It's like they're just on a whole nother level. And to see how it grew, basically, like you were saying earlier, it's from from the inner city and from not having anything and wanting to have a sense of purpose to where it's like worldwide, bro. It's just incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And I still marvel at it.
Yes. Yes. Let's take a look at some of the comments coming in. By the way, thank everyone for tuning in and those that's interacting with us. We appreciate your comments. But Craig, aka Papillon Kid, says one love artistic. And then he got a couple of other comments. He says, big facts, Coolio, rest up, job well done, and you never sold out. So yeah, shout out to all the lovers of Coolio. We lost another legend in the hip hop community, and it seems to be an ongoing thing these days. We had another person checking in, says, what's up? And Craig checks back in. He says, all right, boy, we on deck. Let's see who else we got here. Let's see who else we got here. Another comment, Born Free, One Love Crash, combination, original crew member.
That's what's up.
Is that combination?
Yeah, it looks like.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. That's what's up. Okay. And then Craig says, tears, that first story touched. Okay. All right. Yeah. Crash, speak that truth.
Bro, you got to ignore him. Craig going to be typing all night. I know him, he constantly goes on. Craig, hey, let me tell you a story about Craig, because we used to Craig was like I mentioned earlier, being like the illest popper.
Uh-huh.
Bro, we were at you remember what they used to have a Fresh Fest?
Yes.
Man, me and Craig had this routine down. So we're on the floor of the Fresh Fest, because you could either sit up in the stands or you could be on the floor where everybody was dancing at.
Mm-hmm.
We had about a 3.5-4 minute popping routine that we did, bro, and we were just doing our thing. At the end of our routine, though, we did this where we would like lock arms, and then we would just like do this bow.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody started cheering us, bro. We were like, oh, like we were so into it, though.
Yeah. That
we weren't even doing it for people just to watch us necessarily, and we definitely didn't expect to get that reaction.
Okay.
But that was crazy, bro. That was definitely one of my illest hip hop moments. I've had a lot of them, but between that one and the one I told you about with KK, as far as on a dance tip, that was crazy.
Yeah, I think Fresh Fest was probably the first concert type of venue that embraced the elements of hip hop. Because basically that was a traveling concert to represent all the elements. You had breaking featured there, you had the MCs featured, your featured. You know what I'm saying? Represented, and it was in its early day. So, because even the, Rocksteady and New York City Breakers were a part of some of those tours.
Yeah. I never got to see them though, but
yeah,
that'd have been sick if I got to see them.
Yeah, I remember.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I remember when the first one I went to, because it was 84, 85, and 86. And we went to the UIC Pavilion.
Yes.
And Run DMC was on the bill, Fat Boys, Houdini, You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Exactly.
They crushed it.
Yep. Yep. Well, you couldn't tell us nothing back in the day, bro. Yeah.
So let's see. We got a couple more. My homeboy Kingdom checking in. He says, "How do you feel about the Olympics having breaking added in 2024?"
Dude, we actually thinking about. I know we had discussed possibly going to see that.
Yeah.
That's how excited we are about it.
Yes.
I just hope that whoever are selected as judges knows what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'll kind of leave it at that, because you know sometimes you'll see gymnastics and the way the judges, or ice skating, you know, for instance, and it's all subjective, you know what I mean, at the end of the day. But I would just hope that whoever the judges are for the breaking competition are actually rooted in it and are going to be as unbiased as possible. You know what I mean? So not just because it's going to be in Paris all of a sudden that, you know, France wins. If France has a b-boy crew that deserves it, then all, you know, definitely they deserve it. But that's all. But no, I'm excited about it. I think it's cool. You know, we've been talking about that for years that it should be an Olympic sport, and then all of a sudden, you know, it is.
Well, you know, they didn't they didn't believe in it like we did. So anybody that wasn't a part of the dance obviously looked at it differently. So back when, you know, when when New York City Breakers was looking like athletic competitors and talking about the Olympics back in '84, people thought you were crazy to talk about that type of topic. You know what I'm saying? But the stuff that they were doing was very, very much competitive and well equipped to even go to the Olympics even back then. Yeah. You know, I mean, they were the first crew to dance for the president. You know what I'm saying? Like, stuff that they did was, you know, immeasurable. Like, you know, they was breaking molds and stuff like that with what they were doing. But at the same time, people didn't equate breaking as a legitimate dance form. So, you know, that's why even when you look at the movies, they was like, oh, you know, the guy said, you're going to put these kids on the same stage with trained dancers. Right.
Exactly. So yeah, we've always been the underdog.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the development as you continue to develop in the artistry. Because, you know, like, obviously, you know, sometimes you dibble and dabble in some of the elements, but you may not be as good as you are in other elements until you find that one that you say, this is the one that, you know, I think I'm a hammer this one out, you know. So talk about that for you, because like you said, you know, you were rolling with the B-boys. You actually participated in that element, but like you said, there were other guys that were just much greater than you to that extent. And I agree, it's the same thing with me. I mean, like, you know, when I seen it, I was like blown away to the fact that, you know, that it was even existing, you know, to see some of the stuff. Like my homeboy Brian, who he's from Chicago, but he had moved to California, and he was the first guy that I knew personally that knew how to pop real good. You know, I mean, obviously we were seeing it on TV and videos, but I had never seen it up close and in person at that time. So when he came back from California, because he learned from the OGs in California. Yeah. And he came back, and one summer, I think it had to be the summer of '82. And you know, like, man, he threw this wave, man, and it went. And I looked, I said, what in the, I said, how did you do that, bro? And then he just started going into this whole routine, man. Didn't look like he had a bone in his body. Yeah. You know? And he was kind of a stocky dude too. So, you know, I'm like, how in the heck? And immediately after he did some of that stuff, we had a conversation and we started a crew. So it was just like, bro, like, you know, that was unbelievable to witness that with your own eyes with somebody that you knew was, you know,
So it's funny, so popping, I remember popping even before, like way back before that. I remember like 6th and 7th grade. Yeah. There was a song called Pop What You Got.
I remember that.
Pop What You Got.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was like a simple pop, you know, that we would do, right? Yeah. And then that kind of played out. And then you had Electric Boogaloo came in. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it all became popping, you know, whether you popping, doing the wave or ticking, you know, And then I never did it, but I know people also used to lock. I was never
Yes.
into locking.
Yes.
But
Yes.
all of that combined, we used to just call popping.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you got to have PAK on here one day, and because I
Yeah.
love to hear him
Yeah, we-
break all that down.
Yeah, we
But
definitely
just on the dance tip, for me, popping, I love the West Coast style of popping. To me, that was no comparison.
Yeah.
And then obviously, when it come to b-boying and breaking, East Coast, New York, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we had the best of both worlds, and that was the beauty of being in the middle of Chicago. We could take from here, and just be our own.
Yeah,
But,
I agree.
Yeah, but to your question, as far as the evolution for me, I started kind of dabbling in rhyming a little bit. You know, you mentioned like Run DMC at the Fresh Fest. So I remember, kind of, matter of fact, the first time I rhymed on a mic was over by Craig's. I think I was at Craig's house. Somebody had some turntables set up and a mic, and I remember rhyming with. I knew all the lyrics to Sucker MCs, so I would just kind of rhyme the rhymes with Run as he was doing them. And then from there, I was thinking, man, I should write my own rhymes, because I had a halfway decent vocabulary, and I figured, you know what, let me try to write some rhymes. So I kind of wrote some basic rhymes, real simple, nothing too complex, and it kind of went from there. And then I met, one day, I found out that Dave rhymed. Melody, he, I would say, was extremely instrumental in my development as an MC, and I don't know if he knows that, but the reason I say that is he turned me on to lyricism.
Okay.
And he played the Treacherous 3 for me at this Treacherous 3 album, and then he was like, listen to this. So I'm listening to this like, wow. Kumo D, Special K, LA Sunshine, and the way they were articulating and breaking things down was like, whoa. So it just made me go back to the drawing board and realize, okay, I need to be a lyricist. It's one thing to do simple ABC cat in the hat rhymes, but then it's a whole nother thing to flow and do this. So I'm like, this is what I need to be doing. So yeah, that's how I kind of evolved that way. And then you had mentioned early on about WHPK. So for those that don't know, WHPK was a hip hop station at a college, University of Hyde Park in Chicago. So when I was going up there, WHPK, I think it would start at 10 o'clock at Friday nights. So you'd have to call, there was a payphone outside. You pick up the payphone, you call collect. They would deny the collect call, but that was when they knew that somebody was downstairs waiting to come in. So, did you know that, bro? Is that how you got it?
No, but it's just interesting to some of the things that we did back then.
Yeah, that's how we got in. That's how they knew, because the school was closed at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So So Ken, his name was Magic Ken. He would have us up there and, let us play our music, and it just kind of went from there. And I got to give, Ken a lot of props too for White Cat. You talk about Universal, somebody that believed in us, that gave us a chance. It was awesome. So that's how I kind of evolved, and started delving into the MC thing. And then I was just getting with crews around the city, bro. I remember I was riding the bus one day, and I saw somebody had taped a piece of paper and said they were looking for rappers or something. So I picked it off and called them up, and it ended up being these cats called the Masters of Conception. Top Dog and Double C. So I rode the bus over there, and I meet them, and then we go up. We're in this attic. We're upstairs in this upstairs area. And it was just the two of them, but Top Dog was pretty much the leader of the crew, I would say. And he had me battle Double C to get into the crew.
Okay.
Bro, let me tell you, I had rhymes on deck for any situation, bro. I had rhymes just memorized for just battle rhymes. because I was in that mode. It was all about battling. It wasn't anything about, oh, I want to get a record deal. That wasn't even thought of.
Right.
It was just like, I'm just an MC. Because I think being in Chicago, bro, and correct me if you have a different perspective on this, but I think we always have that second city kind of mentality. Like we see LA, you know, they breaking, oh, the movie Hollywood, oh, New York City breakers, you know, like I can never achieve to be that. Like, so I'll just stay in my own lane. You know what I mean? So that was the initial mentality that I had. But dude, I had rhymes forever, bro. And we just was battling, and it was just like, I can do this all day.
Yeah. And
then it was like, all right, you in, you know. So that's how I hooked up with them. Ended up being with a crew called the Village Crew.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever heard of them. They were more, the only cat I remember from the Village Crew was a beatbox cat, light-skinned dude named Red. But it was a couple of other guys that were in the crew, and Alzheimer's and dementia sitting there. I can't remember their names, bro.
But you do pretty good, man, because like you mentioned earlier in Kingdom, he asked this question. He said, is he talking about K-Ill? So Ken, that was his real name.
Yeah.
He you know, now, you know, it's interesting because he actually went by a couple names. He was also known as the Hip Hop Gandhi, which he didn't like. He said he didn't like to be called that. But,
right.
You know, K-Ill, you know, I think he was mostly known for K-Ill.
No, yeah, later on. But I'm back, way back.
Okay.
So we called him, his name was Magic Ken.
Okay.
Back then. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was his first name that we knew of. But yeah, K-Ill, same cat.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Ken Whistle. No, I forgot how to pronounce his last name.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's the same dude. Yeah. That's what's up.
So it was Ken, and then there was a black female that was up there sometimes. Her name was Dawn.
Yes. Yeah, she was there for a short period of time.
Yeah. So those were the two that I kind of interacted with, more so Ken. And then I know later on down the line they had like JP Chill and some other people that were there.
Right.
But I had kind of left, you know, and did my thing, and you know. Yeah. So
yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, man. I mean, it's all relevant. You know what I'm saying? Different periods, different times, and that's why this is so important to have these discussions, because the key is to show the connection.
Right.
You know, to show the connection, because sometimes people may be talking about the same person and not even realizing that it was just a different time period.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Different nickname, or like you trying to figure out, is this the same Mitch?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, same thing. But you know, so I ended up rhyming, like I said, there was the Village Crew, Masters of Conception, and then I used to kick it with a couple of cats around my way. We didn't really have a name of a group, but like my boy Jeff Ski, aka his name was Def Jeff Ski. He rest in peace.
Okay.
And then also my boy Kev X. I used to call him Cuff Ski back in the day, but now he's Kev X. But yeah, bro. And then Black Magic.
Oh yeah.
It was like the last crew that I was with Chili T. And dude, so one time Chili T was crazy, bro. We had this show at this school. I forgot the name of the place we were at, but we're backstage, and then right before we about to go on, he's like, you know what? We should take our shirts off. I was like, wait, what? Yeah, we should take our shirts off, because he was like the buff bodybuilder dude, bro.
Yeah.
So Chili T was like, all right, whatever, dude. So we take our shirts off. He rubbing baby oil on us, bro. I know they looked at us like, who the hell these guys think they are, trying to be sex symbols out there, bro. But that was Travell, that was his thing, man.
Oh, shout out to homeboy Chili T, man,
Chili
from the
T,
Shot Rock
bro.
Nation. Yes, sir.
Yeah, he was an ill lyricist, bro. And that's what I started to gravitate to.
Yeah.
People who, because like I said, Mellow D was the one that kind of turned me on to like lyricism. So, you know, I'm into like back in the day, Treacherous 3, And don't get me wrong, I still love my Run DMC, and I appreciated the Fat Boys and all that, but I knew it was levels to it.
Oh yeah.
Tila Rock, It's Yours was like the song.
Yes.
Matter of fact, I ended up doing a freestyle to that. And then my actual group that I was signed with, it was two of us, and we were called Crash MC and Warp One.
Okay.
A Collisional MC and Warp One. Also would go by the name Collisional. So we were actually signed to B-Boy Records, which was KRS-One's record label.
Okay.
So when I left, Chicago in '86, bro, to join the Marine Corps.
Okay.
So I go off to the Marine Corps and ended up getting stationed at this base called El Toro in Southern California.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm out there and I go into the store called a PX. So this cat is, in New York, you dress like this whole New York style, bro. So he had on like colored leaves, and I was like, who is this dude? Like, just straight up B-boy. So I kind of like, not like I was on some stalkers type stuff, but I was like, kind of trying to figure out who this cat was on this Marine Corps base, right? So we go into the car stereo section, and he puts in his cassette tape. And I'm listening to these beats like damn, who was that? And he had a couple of MCs on him.
Right.
Stuff I had never heard of. So I'm like, hey, bro, who's that? Oh, that's me. No, I know it's your tape, but who made the beats? No, me, I did. Oh, really? So I'm like, well, I rhyme. He said, oh, you do? And he's looking at me like, kind of like, yeah, right, And there's a reason for that, though. So back in the day, the West Coast, for lyricists anyway, the West Coast always had a reputation for being corny when it came to rap.
Okay.
Because they had like, it was Uncle Jam's Army and what was that saying? That song? We hit the Dream Team.
Yeah.
The Dream Team is in the house.
Yeah.
That was like, nah, dude, we want to hear lyrics.
Yeah.
So and we were stationed in California, so eventually it came out that he didn't realize that I wasn't from out there, so he wasn't really expecting much. So we went back to my barracks, and I had this cassette tape I did a freestyle to this instrumental of It's Yours. Put that in, bro. He was like, wow, blown away.
Yeah.
So he was about to get out of the Marine Corps at the time. I was basically just starting my career. He was about to get out. He had all of his equipment sent back to New Jersey, where he's from, like 20 minutes outside of Philly.
Mm-hmm.
He had his mom send his equipment back to him, all of his recording equipment, RX-5, drum machine, mic, stereo equipment, all that. So we ended up getting in this rap contest because they didn't have battles back then, or they did, but it was a rap contest. So basically, you would just perform your song, and then whoever else would perform their song, and that was it. So we did a demo, and we got into the rap contest. So needless to say, we won the rap contest. And the prize was to get to go see LL Cool J, Roxanne Shante, Eric B. and Rakim, and I think it was somebody else. I don't know who the other act was, but I know it was those main three. So, and we sent demos out. And back then, the way we would send demos out, hold on, I'll show you real quick. We would literally get the album, and then if we wanted to send something to this record label, we would go, okay, 19 Sutra Records, 1790 Broadway, New York, and then just send it.
Yeah.
And back then we had no concept of how to copyright songs.
Right.
So we used to do the poor man's copyright, which is basically put the cassette inside of an envelope and then mail it to ourselves and then not open it. So if anybody else, if we had to go to court, we'd be like, hey, this is our material right here. And then we would open it in front of the court. So
right.
Thankfully that never happened.
Right.
But yeah, bro. So we sent demos out to all these different record labels. B-Boy Records was the only one that responded.
Okay.
So now I'm deep in the Marine Corps now, doing my enlistment. He's out. And we got this record deal. So they send it to us, and basically we couldn't even pay for an attorney, but the Marine Corps had I forgot what the legal counsel is what they called it. So we basically took this recording contract to some military attorneys, and they were like, well, we've never done a recording contract, but it looks okay to me. Like, you know, just kind of explain what it was, and like, yeah. And back then, you know, you just excited to just get put on. So I was like,
Right.
let's do it.
Right.
So we ended up flying out to, now let me back up a little bit. Now KRS-One and BDP, Scholar Rock had gotten killed.
Right.
He had gotten shot. So BDP had left B-Boy Records and went to Jive RCA.
Right.
So they were looking for like the next big thing, right? So, you know, they had some other crews out there, other artists they put on. One was JVC Force.
I remember
They had
them.
this real cut called Strong Island, which I love.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we get this deal. I fly out to New York, or we flew to Philly. I flew, you know, to meet up with him. And my DJ's name is Warp One, by the way.
Okay.
So we was Crash MC and Warp One. That was my DJ's name. So he made all the beats, MPC back in the day. Initially it was a RX-5 is what we were using, and then eventually it went to a MPC. But yeah, bro, we get out there, we get to the studio, and now we're doing all this on our own, not knowing how the business works or anything. So they're like, oh, who's your producer? We're like, we're our own producers. So there was a rapper named Spider D
Okay.
that was with B-Boy Records that they assigned to us to be our producer.
Okay.
He didn't do anything.
Right.
All of our beat, everything was made, everything was mapped out. All we had to do was hit play on a drum machine and me rhyme, and it was over. And we did about 10 or 11 songs. Maybe I think 10 with vocals, and I think we might have had one instrumental song that he just was cutting and scratching on. Every single song I had memorized. So I trip out on how these rappers now, they got their phone and they're, you know, read. It's like, what are you doing, bro? You got to have your rhymes in your head. That's what's up, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, we recorded at this posh studio in Manhattan, and was basically waiting for our stuff to come out. B-Boy Records ends up going bankrupt on us.
Wow.
So then I'm like, well, can you release the music to us?
Right.
And
Because
they're like,
you guys had did a whole album, right?
Yes, bro. Entire album. And then they said, well, you guys are just a third party. Our business deal is with B-Boy Records. And I'm like, well, there is no more B-Boy Records. So, but yeah, we had gone, it was a trip. But, you know, we had gone out there, man, and that was my first time in New York. It was a crazy experience, man. I remember we had the record label had provided us a photographer for a photo shoot. So we were taking shots everywhere. And then we had gone to, we were in Harlem. And I was like, oh, man, it's the Apollo. So I'm just tripping out like, wow, you know, big eyes. This is all new to me. Across the street, we see these two shorties getting into it with two bigger guys.
Mm-hmm.
And we're across the street watching this thing develop. All of a sudden, one of the shorties pulls out a gun from his waistband and is like, now what you want to do? I'm like, dude, we got to get the fuck out of here, bro. So it was crazy, man. But yeah, that was kind of wild.
Wow.
So anyway, yeah, that was that, bro. And so it never ended up coming out. That we ended up eventually buying our masters from the studio about a year or so later. But hip hop at that time, and even now, back then more so, every 6 months, bro, the music changed.
Yeah.
Now everything is kind of, you know, you got your drill, your trap, you got these different genres of hip hop, of rap, if you want to call it. But back then, everything was changing. It was just constantly changing. So, Yeah, bro. But that whole thing I was rhyming when I was in the Marine Corps. We had a show one time. You remember this rapper named King T, who was with Rhyme Syndicate?
Yeah, I remember King T.
Okay. So King T comes to our base at El Toro to perform. And the Marines on that base, a lot of us were from Midwest, East Coast. You had some trickled in from the West Coast, but the majority of us were, Midwest to East Coast. So it was King T and the Rhyme Syndicate up there.
Mm-hmm.
So they're up there, and everybody at that time, everybody knew I was an MC. I was like kind of the big man on the bass, because everybody knew about the record deal, and so King T's up there, and people started kind of booing him. They just weren't feeling him.
Yeah.
And King T said something like, "That's why y'all are the Marines, because y'all always." He said something derogatory, like y'all always want to battle or something. And then he was like, "Okay, if somebody want to battle me, come up." Everybody, dude, started chanting Crash. So now he's looking like, who the hell is this Crash dude that everybody knows? And disclaimer, I didn't know I was going to be rhyming that night. So I had a couple of rum and cokes. That was my thing back in the day. So I went up with, they literally pushed me on the stage, and I'm like, I'm about to eat his ass up, bro. I got rhymes on deck, bro. So I'm in there, and then he's looking at me. I can see him sizing me up, and because I remember to a T, bro. I had this T-shirt on, and it was a picture of a black man on it, and it had a chain around his head, and it said mental slavery, but it had like these little like he had these thoughts, and it would show like money, being a slave to money,
okay,
or a fancy car, or this and that. And when he's looking at me, I know he's thinking, okay, this brother's conscious. Because as an MC, you have to know, okay, what am I getting into here?
Right.
So dude, he's looking me up and down, and then he hands me the mic. So as an MC, my thing is to get the mic, get the crowd hyped.
Right.
So the first thing I say is, first of all, we don't appreciate no weak-ass, whack-ass West Coast MC coming out here dissing us. The whole crowd was, yeah, going off. Security says, not tonight, Crash. They literally thought I was about to start a riot just because, and that wasn't the case. I was just getting the crowd hyped.
Yeah.
It was like, not tonight, Crash. Took the mic from me, and I'm like, really, bro?
Wow.
Like, so that was it. I ended up running into King T later on, though, at an NWA concert. I was going back to my car, and my girlfriend at the time, we were walking to her car, and then I'm like, that's King T.
Right.
And she was there that night, so she remembers how everything, and she was like, don't. I'm like, I got this. It's all good. So I'm like, yo, King T, what's up, bro? He turned around and he said, oh, what's up? And it was like, gonna keep it moving. I said, hey, you got a minute? And he stopped. I said, I was that MC that was gonna battle you at El Toro. Then he was like, what's up, man? I said, no, bro. It's all good. I just wanted to let you know that I can really rap. I'm a real MC. I just wanted you to know that. So we started chopping it up for a little bit, and then he said, here's my name of my DJ, give him a call, we'll see what's up. So it ended up being DJ Pooh, which I never called him because I didn't like the vibe, and
Yeah.
And the way we had met, I didn't want to get set up, I was like, nah, I'm cool. So, but yeah, man. So that was the whole Marine Corps thing, and I ended up getting out of the Corps. And what we didn't mention is my 9 to 5, I'm actually a captain in the police department out here. So I used to work in LA, and I was LA County Sheriff Deputy. And then I moved out here in Hawaii in 2003. So I've even got a couple of stories of being in uniform. One time I was at this spot called The Good Life in LA, which is where all the MCs, whoever was somebody that was an MC, would go to The Good Life. And then once The Good Life closed, they had another spot called Project Blowed. But I don't know if you're familiar with like Freestyle Fellowship.
Yeah.
Raz Kaz, all these cats came out of this, you know, that era. Volume 10 was dope. So I go in there one day in uniform to The Good Life, and The Good Life and Project Blowed had kind of branched off a little bit because you couldn't curse inside The Good Life, but in Project Blowed you could.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the MCs started just going to Project Blowed before Good Life died out. So I went to Good Life anyway, and this cat is in there. I remember he had a fisherman's hat on, and he's rhyming, he starts freestyling, and he's talking about Popo and one time, and somebody got a bag of Endo in his back pocket, and then I'm like, okay. So I grabbed the mic, and then I start freestyling, and I'm freestyling about what he was talking about, and then I was talking about how I kind of mentioned about me not being a corrupt cop, and you know, talking about the Rodney King incident, and I know they were just like blown away, like, wow, this is crazy. I had another incident where I had some of the cats from The Good Life had gone to Project Blowed, like I mentioned. So I went over there one day and just sat outside. And they were just like, and I was waiting. I had some battle rhymes on deck, bro, and I was waiting for somebody to say something. Sure enough, this one cat took the bait and he started saying something, bro. And let me know if I'm going too much over the time.
Okay.
But he started rhyming, bro, and then I started rhyming. And then the whole crowd, just like, you remember I told you about that when everybody surrounded us, when me and KK started dancing?
Right.
It was the same thing. When I started rhyming in this sheriff's, you know, uniform outside of my car, everybody surrounded the car. And they were like, oh my God, like, whoa, this is crazy. But the thing that I remember most about that is that after like the majority of the crowd left, this one cat came up to me and he said, you know, I've always wanted to be a police officer, but I never knew that I could rhyme and also be a cop at the same time. I said, bro, as long as you stay true to who you are, you know, you can do that. So that always stuck with me. I'll tell you one other quick story about being in uniform. I had a partner, we were driving through Inglewood one day and I see Onyx hanging out. And I'm like, oh, there goes Sticky Fingers. And like, oh, what's up? So I get out, stop the car, kicking it with Onyx. And then next thing I know, Jam Master Jay comes out. And he was actually, he had his own label, JMJ Records.
Right.
So he's like, hey, bro, I rhyme. And Jam Master Jay was like, I'm looking for something fresh and something new. Yeah. So I'm like, hey, what's up? Let me know, dude. And I'm just like, let's go.
Right.
So he gives me the number of the president of his record label, of JMJ Records, this cat named Randy Allen. So me and my DJ, Warp One, we set up a meeting. I go to meet Randy Allen. Knock on the door. The producer and the DJ for Onyx comes to the door. His name's Shaw Skills. So I'm like, yeah, is Randy here? No, Randy's not here right now. But I can hear your music. So I'm like, right off the bat, I got a bad taste in my mouth. Like, okay, here we go.
Yeah. So
we sit down, you know, and he's listening to our tracks, and he's kind of nodding his head, but he's more interested in us hearing the music that he did. And I'm, you know, we trying to be cool and cordial, but I'm thinking like, bro, you already signed. Why are we listening to your music? Like,
yeah.
So we listen, you know, we kicking it, listening to his music, and it's like, what's up? There's a knock at the door. Somebody goes in, then they start whispering. Now, the guy that we were supposed to meet, Randy Allen, wasn't there, supposedly. All of a sudden, they go into this other room. And then Randy Allen comes out of that room with a couple of females. He's in there having, you know.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, really? Like, we're supposed to be here for a business meeting.
Yeah.
But yet, so they had some other drama going on that I'm not going to get into to put their business out in the street. But it was so important that they had to call him out. So that was crazy. But yeah, man, hip hop has really given me a lot of avenues. I ended up signing with an acid jazz band called Solar System, and it was basically a jazz guitarist from England named Chris Standring, and he wanted to do like the next freshest thing, or the end thing was to have a rapper to do, you know, rap with jazz. So we ended up doing a remake of Me and Mrs. Jones, and we ended up getting a record deal off of that. So the name of our group is called Solar System, and then we were doing shows at Luna Park in West Hollywood. This all the places, a Viper Room. Opened up for Tina Marie at House of Blues. That was crazy. That was the most. That's when I felt like I was at the pinnacle. I literally felt like it can't get no better than this.
Okay.
Me performing at the House of Blues, and nobody there knew us.
Right.
So when I came out on stage, it wasn't like I had like this big entourage. The people appreciated the music, and they were like really into it. So it was real tight. I love that, bro. But yeah, did, you know, like I said, open up for Tina Marie. Dude, there's so many people I done came in contact with and just have all these like wonderful experiences, like I'm saying. And I know I'm forgetting some stuff.
Wow.
But yeah, bro.
That's what's up. Well, let's do this, man. Let's actually take a quick commercial break, and when we
Okay.
come back, I'd like you to share some of your music with some of our viewers.
Oh, okay. That's what's up.
So let me just stop this background music I got playing here, and then we'll pick up where we left off when we come back from the commercial.
Okay.
Let's see here. All right. So yeah, man, good stuff though, man. I appreciate all the stuff. It's just so much, man. When you get to talking, man, it's just like, wow, so much material that it's gonna come to your mind for you to want to share. You're watching the RYC Live Show, and we will be right back. Welcome back to the RYC Live Show. I am your host for tonight. My name is Artistic, and we have our special guest, Crash MC, on the set tonight. Yeah. So, I forgot to mention or make mention that to let the viewers know your background a little bit more. What high school did you say you went to when you were here in Chicago?
So I went to Brother Rice High School.
Okay. Now, did you do your whole 4 years there, or?
Yep, all 4 years at Brother Rice. Yeah.
Okay. And what year did you come out?
1986, bro.
86. Okay.
86,
All right.
yeah.
Yeah. No, it was interesting because, like I say, I'm all about, connecting the gaps, man, on our history. And I was looking at some a correspondence that I had with Chili T, and he had sent me a text message, and he was saying, tell Crash, I said, what's up? And then I thought about it, and I said, wait a minute. I said, because you had asked me to check with Chili T, and I had forgot, and so when I look back and then he just brought it to my attention without me even mentioning it. And then I was like, wait a minute. I said, that's right. You did say you knew him. And I was just like, man, this is just so crazy, man, how sometimes it's like we're connected more than we know.
Exactly.
And I just like, and that's how I know some of the stuff that is being said is fact, because if you're being honest with yourself and what you're sharing in terms of your history, it's automatically going to connect to somebody else that you may know.
Right.
And I'm just like, wow, and even though Chili T, like I grew up on 101st, Chili T came from the Trey area.
Yeah.
But yet and still, we all played an intricate role in developing the history here in Chicago hip hop. So, whether it be, whether it was from the breaking scene or from the rap scene or whatever element that you specialized in, we all were connecting. Like you say, HBK, places like Steps, places that connected us way before the internet did.
Exactly. Word of mouth. And I got to give a lot of props to my boy Kevin X. I know I mentioned him earlier, but he was instrumental too in bringing a lot of us together. Matter of fact, I think he might have been the one that introduced me to Travell and Bubba and all these other cats that we used to kick it with.
Oh man, speaking of which, look who's checked in. Brother Chili T himself. Shout out to Brother Chili T, man. What's up?
Oh man, that's my boy, bro. He used to have this rhyme. I don't remember the whole rhyme, but I remember he used to say this word, retinitis pigmentosus.
Yes,
Chili
sir.
T.
Yes, sir. There he is. And then we got my other homeboy checking in, Tronics checking in. He says, remember Chili T and Crash on stage at Steps.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That's
and I remember, who's the DJ? Peely Fresh?
Yes.
Was a DJ back then, yeah.
Yes. That's what's up, man. That's what's up. We got my homeboy, Mr. RYC Live himself, checking in. RYC Live Fresh Fridays is definitely the place to be with Chicago hip hop. Salute the team RYC Live. Yeah. So let's get into playing some of your music. What would you like to introduce to the viewers right now?
Well, I'm going to play a song that's hasn't been released, but it's produced by DJ Warp One.
Okay.
And since he was so instrumental in our music career, and since that's who we were initially signed with to B-Boy Records, just a little bit of background about this song. It's called Crash Warp Caper.
Okay.
And it tells the entire story of how he and I met, how we won the rap contest, and our experience with B-Boy Records and our just the whole thing. And when he sent me the track, I think I wrote this song in a day.
Okay.
But yeah, it's called Crash Warp Caper, and I'll play that. So you want me to play a snippet of the whole thing? It's about 3 minutes long.
Yeah, you can play the whole thing, but before you do, just want to make mention. Did you know Peely Fresh died?
Yeah, I did know.
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, respect out to him and his family and everything. But yeah, and that's another reason why we do what we do in all the platforms and in our partnering with other people in terms of trying to keep and preserve our history in Chicago, because we're losing brothers left and right now. So
Yeah, no doubt.
yeah. But yeah, let's take a listen to the whole song.
Okay, so this is unreleased, but let me know. Give me a thumbs up if I need to turn it up some, or if I, or down or something. If it's
okay.
So you ready? Here we go.
Mhm.
Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Yo, you're about to hear the story about an MC from Chicago linked up with a DJ / producer from Burlington, New Jersey.
Can you turn it up just a little bit?
And what happened after that? So Egypt, 1987, El Toro PX. The first time the dynamic duo made the connect. Now who this East Coast cat banging instrumentals in this Midwest mic thing with the most murderous mentals? East Coast brother had beats on lock, while the Midwest cat freestyle to Tila Rock. The East Coast brother heard it, knew it was a rap, and thus the beginning of the crash was packed. Had to get the equipment sent back to Cali out from Jersey. Contest coming up, we needed beats in a hurry. Started making magic with the RX5. At the contest, competition got 8 alive. I spit a tongue twister, then LeBron and Rue. Some clown bit my Adidas, yo. Who was that dude? At any rate, needless to say, first place. For everyone else, scenario, worst case. Won concert tickets, saw Roxanne and L. Eric B. and Rakim, the show went well. I kicked it with the guy, his shiny on the cheek, and asked her if it was really a UTFO beat. Rakim's manager, Snick, met with us after the show. He said, you look like you can rhyme, you ain't got a flow. We went up to the room after chilling in the lobby. So many groupies up in there, I bet you they had an orgy probably. Yo, I wish we could have kicked it, but hey, we had to get back to the base. We would have been AWOL. That'd have been messed up. We got finished before we even started. Bomb beats in the barracks, now we banging out demos. B-boy records reply that they sent us a memo. Happy as hell to sign our first contract. Never mind the fact that the conditions were whack. See, Scholar Rock was no longer alive, and Boogie Down Productions that now moved on to jobs. So things on our label weren't the same, of course. Last group they released was the JVC course. One met with the label, but I couldn't attend with, cause I was in the Marines too. So my enlistment got a phone call later on with all the details. Back before we were using cell phones and emails. He said a manager was a funny older brother, kind of reminded him of Scatman Crothers. Made it to New York, all ready to record. We're banging ass beats, lyrics harder than a sword. Get to the studio where we're introduced to a rapper named Spider D. Say he's our producer. Won't lay the beats down with the MP, learning new studio terms like 50. Now I'm doing vocals on what page was read. An entire album memorized in my head. Engineers bugging how I'm flying through the sessions, what they didn't know my rhymes are lyrical perfection. Yo, and there you have it. That is the story of Crash and Wolf One. Yo, peace goes out to all the homies and brothers in New Jersey.
Nice. Yeah.
So I'm listening to the lyrics, bro. I haven't actually played that in a while.
Uh-huh.
But I talked about how we met Eric B. and Rakim at the show.
Mhm.
So I actually kissed Roxanne Shante on the cheek that night at the show.
Nice.
And then meet Eric B. and Rakim. So Rakim introduced me to his manager, this cat named Snake, from Wyandanch. And as he and I are talking, he tells me to think about dissing Rakim. He said, nobody has ever dissed Rakim.
Okay.
I'm like, dude, are you crazy, bro? Like, I got the ultimate confidence in my abilities, but I'm not dissing the God MC Rakim, bro. Come on. No. So that we ended up going up to the room and to meet with them later on, because at first we met in the lobby, then we went up to the room and it was like all these groupies up in the room, and it was like, whoa, we gotta bounce out.
Yeah.
But yeah, bro, he wanted me to diss Rakim.
Ain't that something?
It's crazy. Yeah.
It's interesting how some people will go to great lengths to start unnecessary drama.
No doubt, bro. No doubt. And also, on an unrelated, something that people don't know is I I was asked to ghostwrite for Biggie Smalls. But before everybody says, wait, what? Not Notorious B.I.G.
Okay.
There was a white rapper named Biggie Smalls that had the name copywritten prior to Notorious B.I.G. That's why he had to switch his name.
Okay.
And he was no longer known as Biggie Smalls.
Right.
So they actually wanted me to ghostwrite a song for this white dude, this white rapper named Biggie Smalls. I was like, nah, I can't do it, bro.
Right,
Appreciate
right.
the offer, but no.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Had a
man.
show. I had a show at this spot in LA called the Mayan.
Mhm.
And the way LA would do shows is they would have these promoters that would have a venue, and then whatever the name of the venue would change according to whoever the promoter was for that particular event.
Mhm.
So the Mayan was like the established building, but the venue was called Jamaica House.
Okay.
So we were on the bill that night. We were actually the last group officially to perform at Jamaica House. And here's the reason why. So let me give you a little background. So Jamaica House, it was me and Warp One, and we had these two dancers at the time. They were called Assault and Battery at the time, but Cliff and Rob were my two dancers. They were white, matter of fact. And but it was tripped out. The song that I decided to do was called How Deep Is Your Mind? And I had them dressed in like cloaks and masks, so nobody knew what they were. It was a trip how we had it set up. Anyway, to fast forward the story a little bit, Tupac was there, Ice-T was there, and some other people. Now I was on the bill,
Mhm.
and it was a female named Boss. She was out of Detroit. She had this song. I forgot the name of the song, but it was popular. And she was like, I don't really wanna feel. But she was real dope Detroit MC, but she kind of was like a one-hit wonder.
Okay.
Anyway, like I said, we were the headliners. But I remember seeing Tupac, and nobody, he was Tupac. People knew him, but he wasn't like Death Row Tupac.
Right.
Which is when he blew up. He was just another rapper. I mean, in LA, you run into people, and it's no big deal. Anyway, he was rhyming, and it was these two cats that were twins, and they were standing in front of Tupac, and he was rhyming, and he was kind of dissing them, and they were like, "Give us the mic," and he was like, "Nah." It was funny. He would never give them the mic. It was funny, but yeah, I remember that story. That was pretty funny.
Wow.
But yeah, bro, it's like I said, I lots of stories, bro.
So let's talk a little bit about today. I mean, obviously, the industry has changed over the years in all the elements, of the elements. So tell us your perspective of where, how you feel about what's going on today in hip hop, and do you think, what do you think, in your opinion, that could make it better? Because some people are feeling a certain kind of way about the rap part of the industry of hip hop today. And then you got these artists that's claiming, like my thing is I've always encompassed all of them under
the elements you're talking about.
Yeah, all of the elements under the umbrella of hip hop. But today you got artists that is like, I'm rap, but I'm a rapper, but I'm not down with that hip hop stuff. Or I'm a graffiti artist, but I don't represent hip hop. Talk about, the industry today and what is your perspective on hip hop in general as of today?
There's always been rap, and there's always been the classic hip hop aspect of rap, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it took a while for me to appreciate rap as just a recording artist and not from the perspective of a lyricist. Because I'm kind of an elitist when it comes to that. You know what I mean? I got if you're not spitting, lyrics, and you're not talking about anything, I'm not really trying to hear you.
Mm-hmm.
But I realize that the majority of the population, that's not what they hear.
Right.
That's why West Coast music and South and everywhere else really took over and got more popular than just East Coast rap, because East Coast was always intricate.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gotten to a point now where you got East Coast rappers that are doing drill music when that's not what they do. They're not doing the quote unquote classic. And answer to your question, where I think it is now, I don't fault anybody for doing what they need to do to make a living.
Mm-hmm.
Who am I to tell somebody that you shouldn't do this type of music? If it's putting food on your plate, you're providing for people. What I would like to happen is, but it's not their responsibility. But I would like for everybody, no matter what kind of music you do, to find, knowing the plight of our people and knowing how difficult it is for a lot of things. If you could just find one song on an album for it to be positive, or just drop a gem about something, you know what I mean? Just to expose and whatever, that would be, I think it would be good. But the industry is different now, bro. I mean, even back then, it's like they control. Let me tell you about NWA. They actually wanted to do certain positive songs, but were told, no, this is the lane that you need to do. Record companies are notorious for dictating the type of music that artists need to do. Oh, you should do something more like so-and-so's doing.
Mm-hmm.
That might not be who they are, but that's the latest thing, the most popular vibe at the time. So, okay, the record company is telling me to do this, and it may not be what they truly want to do, but okay, I'll do this one song. And then all of a sudden it blows up. So I think I think we should have a responsibility to do certain types of music and just understand who our audience is. But it's a ripoff these days, bro. I mean, it's always been a ripoff, the music industry. You know, it's always been a ripoff as far as, and that's why you got to get your business straight. Yeah. And I know, I mean, I've been schooled by, you know, a few people. Shout out to my boy Lauren Cheney, who kind of turned me on to the music business. He was a producer. He's done stuff for Michael Jackson. You never see his name on the credits because he was under, you remember Renee and Angela, this couple that sang? Anyway, Lauren did a lot of beats and programming for under another producer. So that's what happens a lot. Okay. So you'll have like a Dr. Dre or a Puffy will have these other producers under their umbrella where they just may buy the track for them outright. And the ones who actually came up with it, you never get the credit. They just want the cash, and they're thinking, well, I'm going to eventually get put on. Right. But it never happens. Right. You know, so the music business has always been kind of a dirty business. And it's even worse now because of streaming, you know, and these 360 deals that people get tied into where, okay, I'm going to sign with you, but not only do you have the rights to my music, you get a percentage of any clothing sales that I do, any merchandising that I do, any shows that I do, you get a percentage of all that. That's called a 360 deal. Is it worth it for some people? Maybe. But for others, it's like, no, let me just do my thing. So on the music side, and I hope I'm not rambling, on the music side of it, I don't want to be a hater and say that I don't like this. There's certain things I just don't listen to. Right. But I do appreciate certain music. Yes. Like I'm still Jay-Z. I still listen to Biggie. I think J. Cole is dope. I like Kanye, older Kanye. Let me. That's a whole nother. And you know your typical Roots. All the cats that are dope. I really am into battle rap, believe it or not, more so. Okay. Like, because that's the raw essence of it. Right. And I can listen to, I mean, dude, I literally am on YouTube every night, probably watching battles. You know, there's a cat that a big battle rapper out of Canada named Pat Stay that got stabbed to death a couple of weeks ago. He was a sick MC. But yeah, I just think the state of the music business in general is not good. But as long as there's an outlet for people, I appreciate the fact that there is outlets, and because people can stream and put music out on their own. like even my music that I'm with a group now, we're called Basement Fundamentalists, and we're not really that active. You know, I'm kind of getting up there in age, but I don't think that there is an age limit to rap or hip hop. You know, I think hip hop and rap music is the only genre where there's ageism, if you will. You never hear people talk down on a Rolling Stones when they're doing a show. They're drawing thousands, hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah.
You know, the Grateful Dead, whoever.
Right.
But when it comes to rap, it's like, and it's always been that way. So I get it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even LL, when he was dissing Kumo D back in the day, you know, was talking about old enough to be my gym teacher or whatever he was, you know, just whatever they would say to try to get under a rapper's skin, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm confident in what I do. You know, I've sent people links before, and I've even, are you trying to rap? Like, no, I'm not 50 something trying to get a record deal. This is me expressing and just sharing my art. You know what I mean? I'm not knocking on pleasing me, because it's a young man's game. You know what I mean? But as a true artist, if I feel inspired to record something, I'm gonna do it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's never gonna go away.
Yes.
There's a song by Leaders of the New School called Sound of the Zeekers. And one of the MCs says, when I'm old and gray, they call me hip hop pops. That is like the sickest line ever, bro. That totally encapsulates the aging B-boy. And it's like, you're not going to take this away from us. This is who we are.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the youth, if a lot of them were smart enough, they would actually get some knowledge from the old heads that kind of know what time it is and can kind of guide them in the right direction. But, you know, if they don't ask for it, you know, you don't give it to them.
Did you see the little recent issue between Academics, the comment that he made, and talking about the
Dusty Rappers? Yeah, bro, that's funny. I know. I didn't see. I know LL they responded to that. A couple of people responded, but I didn't actually read or hear his response yet.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna check that out a little later on. But yeah, I definitely saw that.
Yeah, and that's again, that's why I think it's so important to have dialogue between the two generations of you know, the young versus the old, because it could become a huge gap between the old and the new, and that's why it's a lot of static, it's a lot of friction, it's a lot of misunderstanding, and a lot of dissatisfaction, really, you know. And I heard, I listened to both sides, you know. I heard the response that LL gave, and then I went back and heard what Academics said, and you know, I mean, you know, it's a lot, you know, some of the stuff that Academics was saying, it's a lot, it's based on a lot of immaturity. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, with the younger people, because he was saying, you know, you old cats are supposed to be showing these new cats the way, because y'all been in it long enough. Y'all did the record deals and the contracts and stuff like that. But why is it that these new cats are going down the same, you know, paths and making the same mistakes that y'all made 30 years ago? You know what I'm saying? And his beef was, you know, it ain't supposed to be like that. Y'all supposed to be teaching the younger people what to do and what not to do, instead of just critiquing them, you know.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. But the person has to be willing to want to learn.
Exactly.
That's the key.
Exactly. Because, you know, young people today are saying, you know, what can I learn from an old cat like you? You know what I'm saying? You rap what, in the 80s? This is 2022, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, so, you know, so a lot of times it's a huge gap. And, you know, in some cases, you know, both people may not be willing to kind of come together and bridge that gap, so to speak. Yeah. And I do think it's just like a parent and a child. I mean, you know, there's a big age difference between a father and a son, ideally, right? But at the end of the day, there has to be a communication bridge, you know, that, you know, hey son, or hey dad, you know, because you guys are family no matter what, no matter how many years apart you are, you know, in terms of being the father and the son, you know, you're still family.
Right. It's funny you mention that, because I have a daughter, Nialani, Nialani is her birth name, but she added an extra I as her performing name. So it's Nialanii. But she, bro, so you can't see my studio right now, but I got, my drum machine and Pro Tools and everything set up. But years ago, I kind of gave her the keys to it. I taught her how to use the equipment, and now she's out in LA doing her thing, going to a music school out there, sound engineering, and she's got some really, really good R&B music. And she's been exposed, from a young age to classic R&B and soul music. And I mean, not just that, I mean, rock music. She likes from Michael Jackson to the Beatles to Queen to, I mean, it just goes on and on.
Yeah.
Her different inspirations. So,
yeah,
but, I'm saying all that to say that I've had conversations with her, and sometimes I would get frustrated that she wouldn't ask me about certain things, because I'm thinking, you got me as a resource. But I also appreciate the fact that she wants to blaze her own path.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she's impressing me with her, the way she's doing things. Shout out to Nialanii, love you if you're watching.
Yeah.
But she's doing her thing. But yeah, bro, that whole parent-child dynamic. But like I said, if no one's willing to listen, then they're just not willing to listen.
Yeah, and I agree. It's got to be open on both, because for the channel to work properly, it's got to be open on both ends. So whether it's a family situation or whether it's, business situation in this industry here. I mean, like I understood what Academics was talking, but I was also in the favor of what LL said, because LL said don't mix how to, the ability to make money versus making a contribution. You know what I'm saying? He said don't get it twisted. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, because before it was about money, it was about the artistry when there was no money to be made. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So that was, that was a major point right there. You know what I'm saying? And, and then for people to come on and comment, even Russell Simmons came on and made the comment. He said, Dusty, he said, I'm over here. I have a new home that I just built. I think I'm doing pretty fine.
Exactly.
He said, how many people have you made rich? Should be the question. So, I do think that there is definitely a very large gap. In fact, my homeboy Kingdom says this is a new form of Willie Lynch, creating divisions, old and young, rich and broke, Democrat or Republicans. And
that's deep, bro. That's a deep observation. I agree with that.
Yeah.
The whole conquer and divide. Yep.
Yeah. So, we got to be careful. I mean, that's our goal with everything that we do with our platforms like this, our museum that we have at the Chicago Hip Hop Heritage Museum. It's all about trying to show the connection from generation to generation, you know what I'm saying? And how we developed as a culture here in Chicago, because again, like you mentioned before, New York, California, but we being in the middle, being able to look at both sides, to some degree, versus being over on the East Coast and trying to look all the way over there to see what they're doing, or vice versa. We kind of had the best bird's eye view,
I agree. I agree with that. You asked me about something that just came to mind about the state of hip hop and this whole old versus young. It would be nice if the younger, and of course they don't have to, but it would be nice if the younger rappers, MCs coming up would take the time to at least learn their history.
I agree.
I agree. Even if they just to know it, they don't have to like it necessarily.
Right.
Or pay homage. I'm not asking for that either. Right. But just know your history. Because it's sad when, some of these rappers, they get on these radio stations and they quote unquote freestyling and they reading off their phone, or they can't keep it on beat or whatever. It's like, that's why I love Sway and Tech, bro. Sway's show is awesome. Yeah. Because he has his hyenas come up there, and if they up there, they spitting.
Yeah. So, and it's always young. See, what young people fail to realize is that just because you come out and you're hot today, just remember that there were many people before you doing the very same thing that were probably even hotter during their time when they were doing it. Right. So you got to remember, like you said, you got to look into the dynamics of researching who did what before you. And even though it may have been a different time, it still equates to the same type of vibe during the time of you being at your peak, so to speak.
Right.
Like I think I look back, Run DMC wasn't the best lyricists, but they definitely were one of the best popular groups of the 80s.
And performers.
Yeah.
Run's house, bro. I mean,
yeah. And again, and they set the pace for what was to come. You know what I'm saying? In terms of the achievements that they were making, so that you can never erase that, no matter what, So when you look at all of these artists, you might say, well, he wasn't that great, or he didn't do this and he didn't do that. But ultimately, did he make any room for development and achievement during the time he was at his heyday time to pave the way and open the doors for others to come in after him?
No doubt.
So and then like LL said, hey, bro, just remember, these very same old dusty people that you're dissing are really responsible for you even having a career.
Exactly.
You should be paying these brothers.
Right.
So I think it's really sad on both levels when there's a setback of communication. Like it should be always open, just like I say, just like a parent and a child. It should be open, because there's no way that a family is going to be able to survive becoming a successful family if they don't communicate, despite the challenges and the age differences that they may have within the family. So it's no different in anything else. It's got to be there. That's why how you can see a success thriving in the entity of a group of people that may be from different generations.
Yeah.
So like I can understand what you've been saying all the time, because we come from the same era. But now imagine if I'm sitting here interviewing you and I'm 16.
Right.
My viewpoint of everything that you just shared tonight on this show for the past hour and 41 minutes, I might have intaked it a little bit differently because I'm much younger.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'd be like, okay, he said this, he said that, but it's 2022, like this, I wasn't even born when this stuff this dude talking about.
Right.
So the comprehension level is going to react differently.
Yeah. Definitely.
So I think we have to be careful with that and make sure that we, make sure we're in a position to give and take, because you can't be trying to take all the time and not give. It's got to be on both ends. And I think we'll be better off if we just open-mindedly made ourselves available, like you say, to learn. If whatever you don't know, start trying to learn about it and share what you feel somebody else may not know, so that the levels of knowledge can kind of come to a level of evenness.
Yeah.
But hey, man, look, it's been great, man. This has been a wonderful interview, man. I'm glad we've gotten the chance to share some of these gems from your life, of course, over the years. And hey, man, I'm looking forward to seeing what else you got, under your sleeve, down the road.
Definitely, bro.
Also, too, whenever you get the opportunity to come to Chicago, we hope to see you to come be able to visit at the museum, the Chicago Hip Hop Heritage Museum, and come there and take pictures, and hopefully we can do some on-site interviews with you at that time, and whatever relics that you may have to share with us that you can bless us with at the museum, that'll be great too.
That'd be I'm looking at some stuff I got on my wall, like, man, why didn't I send him that? Like, I got some stuff. I got some stuff for you. I got a picture of me and Warp One on the top of where the recording studio was in Manhattan when we recorded, and the Twin Towers are still up.
Okay.
And it just gives me chills when I see what used to be right there. It's just like crazy.
Wow, isn't that something? Yeah.
But no, I appreciate the opportunity, man. And you keep doing what you're doing, bro. I want to thank everybody that's tuning in right now and the people that are going to see this in the future. Shout out to my brother. If you guys need an attorney, Jarvis Walker is your man.
All right. That's what's up. Hey, man, listen, man, it's been an honor and a pleasure, and we'll be back next week with another episode of RYC Live Rep Your City Fresh Friday, and we do this each and every Friday night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And once again, man, how can people connect with you if they'd like to follow you or get to know more about what you do as an artist, how can they find that information out?
So if you go on I have a YouTube channel called Lyrical Abyss, and that has a lot of our music on there. A couple of videos I put up. The name of my current rap group is called Basement Fundamentalists. Shout out to Son the One and 4 Words and Jungle V, all brothers here on Kauai. We released an album last year called Lemurian Soldiers, and the name of the group is called Basement Fundamentalists, Lemurian Soldiers. So you can find that on any of the streaming platforms. But that's pretty much it, bro. And then on Facebook, Crash Green. You'll see an icon of a couple of waterfalls on there. That's me.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Well, hey, man, I salute you, man. Keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate you. And thank you so much for all your love and support, and your contributions to the game,
Thank you, bro.
And you're still representing and still contributing. So that's a good thing.
That's what's up, man. You take care of yourself. You sound healthy now. I think the hip hop got you.
Yeah. Hey,
See how you were. I didn't hear a sniffle or a cough. So.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I've been doing the natural thing over here with the tea and the lemon and the vitamin C and all that good stuff. So yeah, this definitely can always perk me up.
That's what's up, man. Well, you have a good, safe weekend out there in the Shy, bro, and I'll holler at you soon.
All right, my brother. Peace.
Okay, peace.